Hello and welcome to the Medicine Mermaids podcast, stories of womb, water, and womanhood. We are your hosts, Naomi Ring and Naomi Maharaj. In this podcast, we're here to share real stories on all things women's health, embodied spirituality, and ancient feminine mysticism. We value authentic, sovereign expression, and our greatest hope with this podcast is to awaken the unique medicine that lives within each of you. The title of today's episode is Untangling Our Hair Stories, Navigating Symptoms, Feminine Identity, and Ancestral Repair. And to introduce ourselves, my name is Naomi Maharaj. I'm a clinical herbalist and women's holistic health practitioner. I support women in getting to the root cause of their female health symptoms that make it hard for them to feel beautiful and strong and vital while helping them remember how our bodies mirror the beauty of the earth. My work weaves together clinical herbalism, body image healing, German new medicine, holistic pelvic care, ecology, and so much more. I love helping women reclaim their sovereign health and in remembering the divine beauty that they are.
And I'm Naomi Ring, an integrative somatic healer, feminine movement facilitator, astrologer, and grief doula. I support women to get clarity on their soul's evolutionary blueprint and understand their ancestral imprints so that they can alchemize their wounds and feel empowered in life. My main tools are evolutionary astrology, devotional dance, family constellations and trauma healing, and more. My biggest pleasure is to guide women on their journeys home so that they can embody their wholeness and root into who they truly are. And today's episode, we're going to be discussing all of our experiences with our hair, basically, from symptoms to how we feel in regards to our womanness, our femininity. Our hair is such a symbol of that fertility, of our power, its connection to our ancestors. Like our hair is literally alive. It has, it's like a sensory organ. And we really wanted to bring this topic forward because there's so much to say about like hair culturally, different practices, different perspectives, how hair has been viewed, if it's been criticized or not, how women relate to, their hair throughout their life, throughout changing phases in their lives, as we grow older. Different modalities like German new medicine, what they have to say about different symptoms in their hair. There's just, yeah, so much to share and talk about. I know Naomi really like has a lot to say about hair. She has taught these amazing this amazing 3 day I don't know if to call it a workshop, a series, but it's
Masterclass
really,
series, workshop series.
yeah, it's a workshop series and it's so worth it. It was like focused on hair and skin, and I forgot the third one. Wait,
It was
which one? Body.
weight.
Weight,
Yes,
yeah. And
yes.
it's such a master class, like such a master class series for all of us women, because these are topics that really we can relate to and that we kind of live day by day, like I shared with Naomi. And I think this is why we decided to make this episode now, because I shared with her, I have been now navigating, and I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be every now and then scratching because I think talking about the hair just activates me. Um, you know, we were sharing and discussing lately. I've been having this like symptom in my scalp again that I have
Okay.
had on and off for years in my life. I forget the medical term. I think it's called like seborrheic dermatitis or something like this. But basically, I have an inflamed and sometimes itchy scalp, and I feel like I've been losing some hairs because of it. I mean, I haven't seen like literal shedding or like, I don't do this and a bunch of hair comes out or anything like that. Most likely, it's all normal and I'm just freaking out. But, that's something that happens to so many women. I mean, for some of us, like the hair loss is real. And for some of us, it's just like our biggest nightmare. And, and in different phases of our life, like we have attachment, like we form such an identity, right, around our hair and what it means to have hair, if it's long, if it's short, if it has frizz, if it doesn't have frizz, right? And yeah, basically we want to love and reclaim our hair. We want to have better relationship with our hair. We want to understand what these symptoms mean. We want to also touch upon how we both have moved right into our ancestral homelands, and it has activated all of our like hair memories, right? And hair stories, and yeah, just all these like cellular memories, and um, we know it's such an opportunity to potentially heal things that our ancestors didn't get to. And we also want to bring that forward. And yeah, just every way that hair connects spiritually, right? It's I I didn't speak that clearly, but hair can be so spiritual. It's like, right, our hair grows from our crown, and it's connected to our intuition, and I believe it's connected to God and to the Father, right? The head, to the sky. And so there's a lot also to talk about that, right? So we have the energetic realm, we have the spiritual realm, the emotional realm, and basically also the psychological, like everything that has to do with identity, how others perceive us, how we perceive ourselves. So this is like what we're navigating through today. And
The
I'm
end of the
gonna
episode. Naomi told us the whole episode. I'm
yeah,
just
I
kidding.
told you all the
Yeah.
episode. Now you can stop listening. It's done. Thank you for listening to us. This was very short, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you, Naomi,
I got very
for the
excited. I
intro.
don't know if you guys have noticed, but like usually it's Naomi Maharaj doing the introductions, and I'm just like smiling on the side. This makes me nervous, and you could maybe tell, and if you couldn't, then I'm sharing with you that it makes me nervous. So I think I was just excited that I'm remembering everything we're going to talk about.
No, Naomi, we're just playing. We're just playing. That was beautiful. There's still so much to be said.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, we'll start with my first question for you. So, as you can tell, Naomi has this beautiful, gorgeous, big curly hair. You can't even tell because of the blurred background. It's like
Yeah.
not fully sharing it, but Naomi's got this big, beautiful hair. So, Naomi, can you share your experiences growing up with your curly hair and the experiences you had with people who perhaps tried to tame your hair, especially as a Leo, what that meant for you? And what has your journey of reclamation been like with you and your hair?
Yeah. Well, thank you for complimenting my hair. As a true Leo, I have to say it feeds my soul and my ego. No, well, um, I mean, I do love when people um comment on my hair, but I have to say, I think it has definitely made me feel like this is the only thing I have that is beautiful. At times, not always. And so sometimes I see the downside to it where it's like, oh, well, if my hair is not looking beautiful, like I almost want to say like, oh, you know what? Today's not the most beautiful hair day of my life. So like it almost feels like sometimes yeah, like I have this attachment, and I like huge, I like my hair becomes my whole identity almost, and I don't love that sometimes, it almost makes me feel like if my hair is not beautiful, then like no one's gonna like me, no one's gonna compliment anything else because that's the only thing I have going on for me. And it's so not true. But there's been moments in my life where that's like kind of, yeah, what I've thought or felt. And probably not very actively, but every now and then it's almost like receiving that feedback from the outside can equally make me like, oh, thank you so much. And then also have this like little crumbling feeling of like, and that's all anyone's ever gonna see. Like it's almost like that's
That's
what's
so Leo.
it's
That's
so
so
Leo.
Leo.
It's so Leo, right? It's like this is very seen. And also there's something that people say about Leo sometimes. I know we're perceived as like we love attention and we crave it. And sorry, but like who doesn't? But at the same time, sometimes we call the attention and we receive it because like we have something, all of us have
Mhm.
something. Maybe it's something big, right? There's like a big light. It's like the sun, right? Leo's ruled by the sun. The sun is big. It's almost like you cannot not notice the sun. You know what I mean? And that sounds incredibly egotistical or self-absorbed of me, but whatever. It's kind of comes with the Leo package. Um, that sometimes we're just gonna call attention whether we want to or not. And that's what happens with my hair. There's days where I just don't I don't want anyone to speak to me. And it's like my hair's there. I can't change it. And so, but yeah, I'm so grateful to it. If I go back to the question, which I guess I kind of began answering, I hope. Otherwise, I'm just been
Like,
rambling.
no, not at all. Like, what was it like as a child? I remember
Yeah.
you've shared with me in the past, like people commenting on your hair as a child.
Yeah. So as a child, definitely like people, I think it was like older people loving it and like dreaming of having my hair and like obsessed with it, touching it all the time. I think my hair was so touched, which I have a lot to say about that nowadays, understanding better. I don't think I enjoyed everyone touching my hair all the time. But then people my age, I think in different stages of my childhood, like my one of my first memories is being in swimming class at 3 years old and being the last one in line to get her hair dried because I had so much hair and so long that like all the other girls would have to wait if I was one of the first ones. And in order for all the other girls who had much thinner hair or less hair or straight hair, in order for them to not get bored or distressed or frustrated or whatever, they always went first. And I was always the last one, because I had so much hair and it was so long and it would take forever. And I didn't like that so much, just always having to be the last one so that like no one would have to wait for me, but I had to wait for everyone. It would take forever. I remember I always wanted to go home with wet hair. I didn't care. My mom never dried my hair ever in my whole life. Like I as a child slept with wet hair so many times, never got sick. My mom just didn't believe in that. And it was so frustrating,
That's so
like,
funny you say that.
it was so frustrating to have to wait for my hair to get dried. Like I was, and the same with like my friends wanting to straighten my hair just to see how long it would be. It would take 3 hours to straighten my hair just so that I would like have a little sweat and then like all of this would become frizzy again. And it never lasted. And I was always like super frustrated because I didn't want to be bothered. I loved my hair naturally. I never wanted to do anything to it. And the outside world, it was either obsessed with like loving it as is or obsessed with changing it or there was always something, and I think as a teenager, even though that's maybe not childhood, that's when it got worse because like I had some friends in Chile who were like, "Why is your hair so frizzy? You should do something." Like
Hmm.
maybe you should straighten your hair like permanently.
Oh
Like,
my
oh my
God.
God, you have so much hair. And it kind of sucked, because a lot of people, I think in the time we grew up, I don't know. I mean, I know we have 2 years difference, but I don't think it's probably generationally making any difference. I think the time when we were growing up, it was such a thing for women to straighten their hair. Everyone was
Yeah.
obsessed with straight
The
hair.
early
Now
2000s.
everyone wants curls. Everyone and their fucking grandmother wants curls. And there's all these tutorials on how to get curly hair somehow. And yet, when we were growing up, you had to have straight hair. It was just that's the trend.
Yeah.
And
It was
so
the
I
early
grew up in that
2000s.
way.
The early
Yeah,
2000s was a very specific style. Like it was
yeah.
really
And
straight hair, really
yeah,
short shorts that were like below the hip, you know? Like
yeah,
now everything's more high-waisted, but
yeah, yeah.
in the early 2000s, like really low hip
Low
clothes,
hip,
you
so
know?
low hip. And
The little
and neither,
purses, which are coming back,
yeah,
the little
yeah, the little
purses.
purses, yeah. So like none of that fit me. Like I had this untamable hair that I did not want to tame and everyone else did. And short shorts and low waist like never suited my body shape, to be honest. So like early 2000s was just like really bad for this girl to
Terrible.
grow
It
up
was
in.
terrible.
But yeah, that's probably it. And my reclamation, what can I say? I think the best thing to happen to me in my life was, well, first of all, I'm very proud of the fact that I never have dyed my hair in my life. I'm very proud that, like, even though a lot of people have loved to straighten my hair when I was younger, I love that, like, maybe I could count with my hands the amount of times that someone straightened my hair, and that's it. Like, I've never done it to myself. I'm proud of loving my hair as it is, and I think that's my reclamation, just like being someone that has allowed her hair to be what it is and not need to change it. And it's not because I always loved it. Of course, when people were commenting on it, it made me feel very insecure about not having the straight hair. It made me feel like I was the very odd one out and very different and very weird. And also like there were many times, especially when I started having like, partners, boyfriends, whatever, where I was very conscious of like, oh my God, is my hair bothering you? Like, let me tie it up, right? Because
Hmm.
like I have so much hair. Like I always felt like also if I, like you go to a movie theater or you go to a theater to watch a show, whatever, I was always very conscious that I have this big hair. Um,
Hmm.
and that I have to kind of like I'm probably taking too much space. I'm
Wow.
already tall, I'm already, a bigger woman, and then my hair's huge.
But it's such a Leo problem. Like I'm
Yeah.
taking up too much space, and not just like physical space, but energetic space, right?
Energetic space, yeah. So, yeah, so I think in the last few years, just being like, that's my superpower. The fact that my hair speaks for itself. Like, I think the best comment I ever got in my life was 2 years ago in Portugal. I was sitting in a restaurant with my mom, and this waitress came and she's like, "What do you do to your hair?" And I was like, "Not much. I just shower and then let it be." And she's like, "You must be God's favorite."
I hear in that like a twinge of like envy? I feel like
Yes.
women carry so much envy of other women who have beautiful hair. And
Yeah.
acknowledging this for myself because I've been on a hair journey, which you'll hear about in a second. And I have also felt that towards other women, just
Yeah.
like, damn, I just wish I had that luscious, long, healthy hair. Like I work at this
Yes.
this what's it called, farmers market here every Wednesday, and there's this older woman. She has to be in her 60s. She's in her 60s, but she has perfect long black silky hair. Like she looks like she's
Yeah.
20 because of that hair. And she just
Wow.
swings it around, like not a care in the world. And you can
Wow.
see all the younger women being like, oh my God, Josie, her hair.
Yeah.
It's a thing that women identify with, like you were sharing, as a source of like this what is what makes me a woman. Like women have
Yeah.
been, I don't know if it's conditioned or if it's something biological within us where we associate our hair with our health, our fertility, our womanness, or if it's something that's projected onto us. Maybe it's a combination of both. But
I
I
think
can
so as well.
see so many women who like covet other women's hair
Yeah.
and talk about their hair like, wow, your hair is so beautiful, almost like
Yeah.
whispering little seeds of envy into their hair, you
Yeah.
know?
I have to say, I've been very, I think that's something, if you hadn't mentioned it, it didn't come up straight away, but it's something that has definitely affected me. I can sympathize so much and definitely understand where it's coming from. And usually I don't read too much into it because I would feel the same. Obviously, if I didn't have my hair, I would feel the same. And I have to say, I get freakouts and it totally affects me. So, like, it makes all the sense in the world. And I would never want any woman to feel bad if she has ever envied another woman's hair. But being on the receiving side of that, like little seeds of envy, I have felt it before. Sometimes, in a great amount and sometimes like very subtle, almost non-existent.
Yeah,
Um, and it scares me.
yeah.
It actually scares me. In general, whether envy is related to hair or not, I have received sometimes a lot of it, and it is something I don't know if it's a Leo thing or not. I don't believe
I don't
everything's
think
a Leo
so. I
thing.
don't think. I
I'm
don't
not
think.
that kind of astrologer, guys, but but I get scared of envy sometimes, and it ma- as a Leo, I do have to say, because it's so related to spotlight, whatever, I do tend to contract and want to take up less space, and I get scared to be who I am. And I'm not saying this to make anyone feel bad, but
Yeah.
it's just like it's an experience. It's an experience of like, yeah, when you have so much beauty, sometimes you're in any way you are gonna receive a lot of envy and a lot of like mal de ojo, like evil
Mhm.
eye, maybe. I don't know, maybe that's taking it
Yeah.
too far. Um, so yeah, sometimes it's
Yeah. Well, we'll talk
something to
about
navigate.
spiritual hair hygiene in a
Yeah,
little bit. Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Well. Move on to the
Let
next
me ask
question.
you. Yes. So, how has your relationship to your hair changed since moving to Brazil? And how did you find your healing?
So Naomi mentioned a little bit earlier about this three-part series that I recorded last year with my body image healing, beauty rewilding work. I spent some time last year swimming in these hot springs for like a week with my mom. And while I was there, I was receiving a lot of messages related to this topic. And so I got the inspiration to record these three master classes, one about our hair, one about our skin, and one about our weight, and supporting women in rewilding these parts of our bodies because, like we've shared, they're parts of our bodies that get so much tension, and so many women feel so much pressure to have clear skin all the time and to have long, luscious, healthy hair all the time and to be this perfect little weight, you know? So I recorded these, and in the hair masterclass, I shared a lot about how when I was a kid, like my hair was never really a big deal. Like I've always had my mom's more Portuguese hair, just like very thin, like
Mm.
kind of mousy, flat. It was always flat. It was always very straight growing up.
Yeah.
Didn't really think much of it. Like in the shower, I would see hair come out. I didn't really care about it that much. When I moved to Brazil, there was suddenly this shift where one, my hair started getting curly. So I don't know if I'm a curly girl, but I have like more wave, not even waves, but it's like there are times where my hair is actually like a ringlet, which never used to happen
Yeah.
before. And I look at old pictures of my mom, and my mom had curly hair when she lived in Brazil. I think there's something about the kapha energy of South America and of Brazil and
Mm.
living in the forest, just not showering with like city water, but maybe because we're showering with water that comes from the earth,
Yeah. And the
um,
humidity.
and the humidity and just swimming in waters all the time. Like since I moved to Brazil, I swim in fresh living water, waterfall, river water, ocean water, like at least once a week. So
Yeah.
I think all of that together has made a shift in my hair for the better. My hair has felt more hydrated since moving to Brazil.
Mm.
But then on the flip side, since I moved to Brazil, I've also been having constant symptoms related to not just my hair, but my body in general, but we'll focus on my hair here. Um, like my hair started falling out a few months into moving to Brazil. And, my hair has always kind of recycled itself a lot. But then when I moved here, I noticed way more hair like on the bathroom floor. And then one day, about a year into living here, I looked in the mirror and I was like combing my hair and I said, there's so much empty space. Like, oh my God, I think I'm losing my hair. Like there was so much hair up here and so less hair here. And I never ever thought about hair loss before. Like alopecia, that's for other people. That's not something that
Yeah.
happens to me, you know?
Only
And then
my nightmares.
suddenly I'm like, oh my God, I have lost so much hair. And I
Yeah.
started becoming super hyper vigilant about sweeping my house and finding hair or like, putting my fingers through my hair and like seeing hair come out. And
Yeah.
that put me on a spiral for sure and on a journey. And in that time, I also was starting to study German new medicine, which Naomi mentioned briefly also at the beginning. I won't go fully deeply into what German new medicine is, but for
Yeah.
those who don't know, it's a paradigm of understanding the body, understanding our diseases, understanding our symptoms from a psychobiological lens. So it's about understanding how our symptoms have psycho-emotional root causes, and every symptom we have every is related to a specific organ and a specific part of the brain and associated with a specific psychobiological conflict. So
Mm.
as I was learning about, hair, and hair is related to the conflict of separation, and specifically separation where there's like that, as my teacher, Kidis Deshay says, this the separation and of that's related to like that nurturing, right? Like our hair is something that is normally like tended to with caressing and with brushing, right? For many of us, how many of us were, our hair was brushed with that lovingness and that kindness, or like our mother used to stroke our hair. Obviously, not everyone, but it has that association on a universal level. Like, so I started reflecting, well, it's very interesting that my hair started falling out after I moved to my mother's home country. And I've lived in other countries before. This isn't the first time, I've separated from my mother, but this is
Right.
the first time I've gone somewhere that feels so far away, right? Like I have always lived within North America, Europe, which to me still feels close to home, but moving to
Yeah.
Brazil suddenly felt like oceans and oceans away. I'm in,
Wow.
the developing world, the third world country, which I hate saying, but like this is just the reality of our world. You know,
Yeah.
navigating all of these challenges of living here, despite being Brazilian by heritage and by blood, I realized, oh my gosh, there's a part of me that feels this tension. Like I've always wanted to live here, but I also am terrified of living here because I was raised constantly feeling fear about Brazil, being told by my grandparents or by my cousins or by my aunts and my uncles, like, don't walk outside by yourself because it's so dangerous and be careful here and be careful with this. And Brazil really sucks because of that. Even though my soul loves Brazil and feels lit up by it, there was also all of this night noise in my psyche around Brazil. And now that I was living here, suddenly there was this inner push pull. And I saw also the relationship between my mom and my hair. And long story short, because it's been a journey and a journey that I'm still in, I don't think like the healing has happened. There was a time when I, was connecting a lot with certain experiences as a child and connecting with my mother and how I was nurtured with my mother and seeing the connection between that and my mom and my hair and had these big purges and then also did some rituals. Like I ended up going to Oregon around this time that the master classes were brought to my awareness in the hot springs. I did this hair ritual in Oregon, in Portland, Oregon, with this beautiful woman named Michelle Patton who does hair ritual haircuts. So it's not just you go there and get your hair cut, but you are receiving a ritual. Like this is a ceremony of cutting your hair, right? Because our hair, as we'll talk about, isn't just, keratin and collagen and pigment.
Yeah.
It's the spiritual living being. And I was connecting with that side of my hair. And so we had this long conversation about, hair cultures or how hair is seen in different cultures around the world and how when we cut our hair, it's a spiritual act and to be intentional with it. So we cut my hair and we set intentions and she did Reiki on my hair and we did all these things. We pulled cards and it was so beautiful. I'd never had that before. And so it was a combination of that plus the soaking in mineral hot springs, which I think just nourished my hair,
Yeah.
fed my body with minerals that helped my hair, plus this German new medicine emotional tending that my hair stopped falling out. And I was like, hallelujah, hallelujah, like it's over. But since then, like there are cycles. I've fallen into another cycle of hair falling out again, and it's like waves, right? Like it's waves and understanding it. In the last like semester, I've been having lots of hair lice, which is really interesting. I never ever had hair lice. I think I had hair lice once when I was a kid. And now
Wow.
suddenly
Yeah.
it's like my second time this year having hair lice, which
I
makes you
had,
feel gross and
yeah.
yeah, I know we're so backwards with the hair lice. But yeah, so feeling all of these things, right, related to it. And so really my hair has been really strong. It's been really screaming at me. Just activated. My psyche has been really activated around separation, which also
Uh,
touches on our skin and touches on our certain parts of our intimate space as women. So yeah, so to answer this question, like how did I find my healing? It's ongoing. It's
yeah.
ongoing. It's ongoing, but I feel like my hair is getting healthier, like as hair falls out and I'm going through these things, I don't feel like my hair is getting unhealthier or that I am unhealthy. Obviously, like you mentioned, the health anxiety comes in. Like we have symptoms come up in our hair and we're like, oh no, something's wrong. Something bad is
Yeah.
happening. But what I love about this, to go back to the German new medicine perspective, it's like there is a healing that's happening that's actually in our favor when a symptom arises. And so
Mm.
we can shift our perspective.
I love
There are
that.
certain nuances to it, right? Like when our hair is falling out, we're technically in an active conflict, but the active conflict is offering us a permission for deeper healing. Like our psyche is ready for us to now fully digest this
Yeah.
conflict. Before we weren't ready, so we weren't in it. But now something has been triggered in our psyche by me moving to Brazil that my body is ready to look at this. So even though it
Yeah.
sucks and I feel scared, and sometimes I'm like, oh shit, like my gut must be all over the place, and like my minerals must be so imbalanced, and there's something wrong. I have to like breathe and be like, no, training myself to understand, which feels deeper and like a true resonant knowing, which is that this is in my favor and that this
Yeah.
is helping me. And this is confirmed by the fact that my hair also looks the healthiest it's ever been, even though it's
Yeah.
falling out and there's little
Your hair looks
itchies.
beautiful. It looks
I
beautiful.
Yeah. So for any woman out there, I know I'm maybe skipping ahead to a future question, but to any woman out there who's going through this, I get you. And I'm here to remind you, like, this is in your favor.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I love that. And I love also it made me think like healing our hair also comes with like healing like our mentality around it, right? Our beliefs around it too. I feel like that probably affects our hair so much, right? Because it's all up here.
Totally.
Um,
Totally.
like, stress obviously affects our hair. There's so much, and it's not to stress anyone out, but more to say like there's so much power in shifting our perspective. I love what you said about it being in our favor. Like it's all always in our favor and being able to heal deep like conflicts within the psyche, like being available to that, like just the way our bodies speak to us and kind of signal to us, like, hey, I'm ready now to go deeper into this emotional like realm and I don't know, there's so many ways that the body speaks to us and
Totally. And I think
hair is
that
just
health
another one.
anxiety is really real. I think we live in a
Yeah,
time with just so much information,
so
and
much
our telephones are listening to us. So they're specifically
yeah.
picking up on our anxiety. So, like, I remember when I was last year, I was talking to people like you and other sisters about my hair, and my phone was hearing it. And I would go on Instagram and I'd be seeing all these posts about, like, oh my God, my hair was so damaged. And then I tried this oil, and then now look at my hair.
It
And
would not surprise me that if I go to Facebook or Instagram after our podcast, we're gonna be bombarded with hair posts.
No, which is so aggravating or frustrating when you're going through an active process like this, right? You're
Yeah.
overwhelmed with information that's just making you feel like something's wrong with your body, that you need to fix it, because that
Yeah,
is
and
how our
nowadays
industry works.
nowadays people also go and ask ChatGPT, and I'm guilty of sometimes fearing something, not knowing what I have, and then asking, which is like probably the worst thing I could do because I'm
Like
giving it
Dr.
all
Google
the
on steroids.
yeah. I don't necessarily listen to it or anything, but sometimes it's more like a curiosity, like, oh, what could this be? And I learned through it, but also it's like chat can make so many mistakes, and then also you're giving all this information and
Totally, totally.
horrible.
And it
But
also is always going to give information based on the current Western medical model, which,
and
you know,
and not just
has its
that, it
place, but
I think it sometimes gives you information, like it learns you and it learns what to say to you, and then it like tries, I don't know, it's
it has
the
its
best thing we can
biases.
do. Yeah, I think the
Like
best thing we can do
ChatGPT.
is like consult people who've been working in a field for years and maybe books. Let's go back to reading books.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
but when
know,
that health anxiety comes, it's really hard. And I think it's just like
it is
breathing
hard.
into that and trying to like bring that down, actively doing
Yeah.
our nervous system regulation practices, because
Yeah,
that health anxiety can make the symptom worse. And I know that from
definitely.
experience. So
Same, same. Definitely. And trusting our bodies, right? Listening, like learning how to communicate with it and trusting the phases and cycles. Because I thought to myself, and tell me if there's any truth to this, right? But I heard once that like in winter we can lose more hair, we're like shedding naturally. So like if we ever see some hair loss after like during winter or after winter's over, to not get too tense or nervous about it because it's like natural and always to notice like I have a bunch of baby hairs and sometimes when I notice that I'm like, oh cool, everything's growing, everything's fine, like right, like our skin regenerates, our organs regenerate, like it would only make sense that our hair also wants to renew. And also
totally.
I've always been told by my mom since I was little that we like lose 100 hairs per day naturally. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but she always has told me to not freak out because this is just what it is. So every time that I untangle my hair, I make like a ball this size. Like when I roll it all together, it's like this size of a ball of all my hair that I like. untangled. And I used to freak out of like, oh my God, I pulled all this out. Like, and I always have the same amount of hair.
Totally,
Like it's
totally.
never, I haven't significantly lost it. So I guess a part of having hair is also losing it naturally, right?
Totally. I think we're so bio-individual, and I think like some of
Yeah.
us have like thinner, more mousy hair, or some of us have like really thick hair, but like less of it, like we have so much bio-individuality. And I think you brought up the seasons as well. Like in the winter, it makes sense for us to be shedding more. And in the summer, maybe, growing more. I think we also live in such different climates. And
True. It
maybe back
affects
in the
us.
maybe back in the day before we had supermarkets and, airplanes importing food from all over the world, maybe that was true, like winter we're not eating as much biodiverse food. We're like eating
Yeah.
food that's been stored for the winter, maybe not having really nutrient dense or really diverse meals with all these different nutrients. So
Yeah.
like our bodies don't prioritize hair growth in that moment. It's like,
Right.
how am I getting my nutrition to stay alive through the winter? But maybe that's
Right.
different for someone who's living in the tropics or something. So I think
Yeah.
I think there's so much bio-individuality, and so that is a permission slip for us to not compare ourselves to other people's hair journeys.
See. And the
Or like think
weather.
compare you living in Israel, like I live in the Atlantic rainforest in Brazil and you live in like the Mediterranean climate of Israel. And so even
Dry.
cyclically, seasonally, our hair experiences will be totally
Different.
different.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's about knowing what our normal is, like Naomi's normal
Exactly.
is combing through her hair and having a ball. And for me, I've noticed that that's not my normal. That's me in an active hair conflict. But like I
Yeah.
get to find peace in that. Like the shedding is always present no matter
Right.
what, right? Like
I
our
see.
hair is growing and our hair is shedding all at once.
I
Just like
guess
every
also for curly hair girls, like really curly, I think it's more normal for us. I guess the ball, like when I say this ball, like you have to take into account. The other day, my boyfriend was obsessing over my hair. Bless him. What can I say? And he took a meter out and he's like, I want to measure your hair. It must be so long. And so he
he
like,
got a ruler, like
uh-huh,
a tape measure.
he measured and he like put it at the top. And then he like took my hair and like went all the way out and well, God love our screen. But he like measured whatever. He measured my hair. And I think, sorry for anyone who loves inches, but I'm gonna talk in centimeters, okay? It was like 76 centimeters long.
Wow, it's almost a meter long.
That's almost a meter long. And I was like, wow, like that's impressive. And I want to keep on growing it out. But anyways, um, I don't remember suddenly why I started telling the story.
We were talking about like the bio-individuality of hair, the cyclical, seasonal
Oh, thank
differences
you,
we
thank
live
you.
in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my balls of hair, I suddenly realized like, well, if my hair's that long, like obviously it my ball of hair might look way smaller if my hair were shorter, but I
Yeah.
have very long hair also, and maybe it's not that much hair. Like I always felt it's a lot of hair to lose, in a shower. My mom sometimes tells me, but if you untangle your hair only like every 3 days, and imagine that's not 100 hairs, that's 300
Yeah.
hairs. Either way, I have normalized that for me, like you said, we're all by individual. And I have normalized that, like, hey, maybe for me that's normal. I still seem to have all the hair in my head. And that I think we've talked about this bio individuality in almost every topic, like when we spoke about our bleeds, whatever, like it is so important for people in this world nowadays to remember bioindividuality when it comes to the nourishment, our bleeds, our hair, almost anything, because there's so much like information out there that's so black and white, that's so like
Yeah.
everyone try keto, everyone
Yeah.
you should
Yeah.
be vegan, everyone you should do this. Like, no, there's absolutely no everyone should nothing, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So,
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
amen. Should we move on?
Yeah. 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 Okay. All right. So let me ask you, how has moving to your ancestral homeland of Israel changed your relationship to your hair?
Well, for one, I have to say most of my life I lived in quite more humid, tropical-y places. That is so not true. I counted right now. Most of my life, I think at this point, it might be half and half. Okay, at this point, I've lived half of my life in tropical, humid spaces and half of it in Israel, in a very Mediterranean, hot and dry. Israel does have humidity too every now and then, but mostly it's on the drier end. And so when I'm in the humid, my hair's like 100. It's like a lion's mane, and my hair looks a bit more alive and juicy, and like the curls are tighter, and you've seen it in Costa Rica. And when I live here, there's this like flattening thing that happens and this like drying thing that happens. And I have to take a lot of care, extra care.
Mhm.
And I have to learn to love it. I think what has changed for me is just like embracing that my hair is a chameleon. I'm like
Chameleon.
chamomile. My hair is a chamomile. It's a beautiful flower. Um, you guys got me, okay? I'm not gonna repeat the word because I'm probably not gonna say it right. But
Chameleon.
it's a chameleon. And did I say it right?
You said it.
Yes. Score. Um, and it just changes and I have to love it either way. But the biggest thing, and we talked about this, is what I noticed about 2 years ago, um, when, okay, so first time I came here for like a long period of time, I was 15. And I also separated from my mother. They were living in Uruguay back then, my mom and dad. But mother, there's something about separating from the mother. And I was, yeah, they were living in Uruguay and I came to a boarding school here and it was like boom, I was scratching. I would have like all this red inflamed scalp. And that was very active for me. And I don't know if it's the water, if it's the weather, if it's a combination, if it's the emotional, whatever it is. For some reason, every time I'm here, I have that dermatitis thing come up in my hair. It just gets active. And so then when I left, it went away. So for a year and a half, I left. And then I came back at 18 until I was 25. So from 18 to 25, it was like a clock. Around every May of every year, especially in the summer, like in the beginning of like summer season until at least deep into the winter, like it would come up again. It's like a flare-up thing that usually would begin around May and would go away around November maybe if I was lucky. Um, but I just got used to being the girl that like just scratches intensely, and I would have periods where it was more calm and periods where it wasn't. And I can say like that I could say all the like very physical realities of like, having a lot of hair means that sometimes my scalp doesn't dry very quickly, and so it remains more humid, and so maybe I need to dry my scalp. Like I can look at all that, but then I can also look at the emotional sides or the ancestral sides and say like something happens here, and I usually am separate from my mom, or there's usually something that has to do with connection because I feel so connected here. I feel so connected to the people, to my roots, to my ancestors. I feel so connected to my father who passed away when I was 18. And like I said in the beginning, for me, the head is the Father. For me, God, we speak of God usually as a he, and I come to understand why. He's not a he. It's not really a he, right? God is an entity, it's an energy. For me, I know it. I know it's not a he or a she in my opinion, but I understood now suddenly why. Because he provides. It's like the masculine energy of providing, right? And so in some way, for me, the head being connected to God, to something above, to the Father, it's like there's like a masculine thing. So ever since my father passed away, um, yeah, I noticed that like that has come up And I did have a break when I went back to Costa Rica, back to when I went to Costa Rica. I'm not from Costa Rica. Um, I lived there for almost 5 years, or I didn't really live there for 5 years because I traveled a lot, but we could say it more like I went out of Israel for 5 years, and I didn't have such a thing come up for me very often at all. It kind of almost went away. And then I noticed, like, could it be related to Israel? I asked myself, because, like, what are the chances that it's always when I'm there? And when I came back now in January, at first nothing was happening. I was like, oh, I might have finally healed this. Because I did a lot of work. I did a lot of like therapy sessions on it. I did like a lot of conscious work of like not scratching, like holding myself back from scratching, things like this. And I think 2 months ago, it's been 2 months now that it's like it came back. It came back. It's active. It's alive and well. And yeah, the more I'm connecting, and it's been about 2 to 3 months since I'm in this relationship. Obviously, I have all my friendships here. I'm in my homeland, like I'm more established. It actually began when I like actually finally landed in my home here. So it's like me putting in roots, but also me putting in roots here reminded me how I'm also not with my family anymore. So it's also connected to like the separation with my mom and that being more real. So like,
Can
yeah,
I
I
say something?
please anything.
Yeah. So I feel like if you were to share your story of what's going on with your hair, like with like a functional medicine practitioner or
Yeah.
a herbalist even, or just anyone kind of in that world, they would be like, "Oh, well, Naomi, you've moved from a humid climate to now like a really dry climate. Like
Yeah.
it's purely
And summer started.
environmental, it's constitutional, so treat it, treat the dry, treat the heat, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like us with all of the layers in our belt, we can see that there's more to it, right? When I hear you talk about Israel, like there's something there of just the sense of home. You said
Yeah.
5 years back, 5 years away from Israel, meaning that Israel on some level is this like focal point for you. It's like this center
Yeah.
for you. And I think it's not a coincidence that as soon because the first few months when you arrived in Israel, I remember it was a lot of, landing and dealing with all the bureaucratic stuff and getting car and finding home and going back and forth and the war and blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
2 months ago, I felt the shift in you as your friend as like, now I'm here. Now I've landed. Now
Yeah.
I'm
I have a
spending
job.
time. I have a job and now I'm in this relationship and this is a really big deal. And so then the symptom comes and what you're describing with your symptom, it's more of like this rashy, eczema-y thing, right? Not like hair loss.
Well,
Within
here's the thing, the hair loss is something that I'm still not sure of, but I
like
notice
baby
like
hair,
I have a bunch of baby hair all around here, and I notice like a bit more scalp, and I'm like, well, maybe I have been losing a little bit of hair. And I've been thinking maybe it's because my scalp has been at times more, at
irritated.
times less inflamed, and an inflamed scalp does not really want to hold on to the hair, as far as I understand,
Yeah.
right?
Maybe it's like a side thing, but I feel like the main thing that you've described has been like this irritated, scratchy, red, inflamed thing, right? Going on, which is a healing phase. That is
Yeah.
the healing phase. And so something in the last 2 months of like, I'm landed, I'm connected, I'm in love, I've got this partner, I feel like I'm in my place.
I mean, I've
Bring
wanted this for
the,
years. I've
yeah,
wanted this for years. I've longed to be back in Israel since I left, basically. Um, and I have to say, I know we never get into like I'm not mentioning this in a political way, but everyone knows October 7th, life-changing for the world. But for me, as a Jew and as, considering Israel as my homeland, like in that moment there was this feeling of like I can't go back home. Home is just not safe. It's taken away from me. And then coming back, it's like I got my home back. I got my roots back. It's like there's this feeling of like, wow, I'm back. And that's also in a way a healing, I think, that I have to
Yeah.
consider, I have to voice, and I have to say, like, it's such a victory to feel like I'm back, and to
So
connect
it's
with
in such
you,
a big
with
way,
friends.
in such a
Yeah,
big way that it rippled into your physical body,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I like stand true in the belief and in the perspective of like this is the healing. Moving
yeah,
back to Israel and like landing there has been the healing, and this is your body now entering a resolution. It gets tough when we are like chronically in the symptom, but
yeah,
when we're able to fully move through the process and I guess understand it, maybe not intellectually, but like understand it somatically, then the thing ends. And we don't have to carry this forever, you know, you don't have to like live in Israel for the rest of your life with like itchy hair. Like things do resolve. But seeing it from that perspective rather than like something's wrong and Israel isn't for me and I need to move back to Costa
oh
Rica.
no,
Yeah.
no, never.
No. And something else, one last point that I feel like is important to share is like I can hear also this tension of like, but my family whom I love in Costa Rica, but I'm here and I want to be with them, but I also am so happy here. That tension of I want to be separate, but I don't want to be separate is also part of the loop of
Yeah,
separation.
it
So
took me years to come back because of that tension and that loop. I needed to be very brave to leave.
yeah.
It's like everything in life, so complex, so many layers, nuances. Like there's so much to say, but that's, yeah, all my personal life, and we're getting kind of away from our hair topic. But
Yes.
I know this was such a good example for our listeners. Like I think it showed a very clear way of how our human emotions and experiences and like our internal conflicts can affect something like our hair, can
Yeah.
bring up symptoms. And I don't mind, exposing in a way myself for if that
No,
supports
same.
someone. Yeah,
Same.
yeah, exactly. I think that's
Same.
why we do these conversations, because we love having our listener go, "Oh, wow, yes, like, oh, thank God." Like there's something so beautiful in sharing stories and then resonating or knowing we're not the only one, or like normalizing. Like this is, I think we both believe in that and love that so much. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Totally.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you, how has your own experiences and symptoms with your hair impacted your work with women around deconstructing the beauty myth?
Yes. So I guess I've shared a little bit of it throughout the episode, but um, such a big part of, I guess, my mission of what I feel alive in sharing and doing with women is helping them to feel more vital in their bodies and to feel more beautiful and radiant in their bodies because we still live in a very oppressive society that makes us feel like we have to fit within a specific body shape or specific weight, or we have to have certain characteristics in order for us to be beautiful and in order to be valuable because beauty is still a form of power and opportunity for women, and I genuinely believe that. And um I think we're kind of as a society in the West kind of going back into past versions of our society, right? So like we're seeing extreme thinness come back, especially with this wave of new pharmaceuticals coming on the market, like Ozempic and all of these
Mhm.
GLP-1 drugs, which are allowing women to return to past versions of what was an acceptable body type and all of these
Yeah.
things. It feels more important to me than ever, especially with social media constantly reinforcing to women, you know, the algorithm is just designed to make women feel insecure and to feel like they want something else than what they have and to consume products and to consume services, right? So our moment in history as women, it's very difficult to feel beautiful in our bodies, right? There's all of these forces around us challenging that sense of innate beauty. And so, of course, working with health, women's health, and working with plants and working with all of these modalities, at some point beauty is going to come in because it's so many of us have conflicts around our beauty. We have internal conflicts of I'm not good enough, or I wish I were more this, I wish I were more that. And that touches on a lot of conflicts within the German new medicine paradigm. And so yeah, it's just kind of naturally come this way. And I've been guided by my guides to speak more on this, especially since personally my journey, I've had to deal with eating disorders and like chronic acne and like womb issues, and all of that has shaped my personal experience so that I can, understand and empathize women that I work with. So yeah, so that's a little bit about, I guess, my experiences and how my symptoms have impacted this work. It's so important for me to see women feeling beautiful, but not from that like, I have to love myself place, you know? We see so much of the self-love culture being like, I love myself on the outside, but deep down there's still this sense of like inner wrongness or inner badness or I'm still not good enoughness, right?
Well,
Like,
and also like a forcing of like you have to love yourself. Like how dare
right.
you want to
Yeah.
change anything or so like
If you
it's
shave your
yeah.
armpits, it means you don't love yourself,
Yeah.
according
If
to
you
the
want to lose
radical
weight, you
feminist.
don't love yourself. Like,
Right,
yeah.
right, right. There's so much extremism kind of like pulling us from both sides. It's like either, you have to love yourself and love your weight exactly as it is at the expense of your health, or on the other side, it's like only health and this obesity fear, this fat phobic fear of like, I have to have the perfect body,
Yeah.
right? And it's like this polarity that's a lot of women get pulled, right? There's a middle way. And I think that this is right, we can acknowledge our health and want to feel vital and also want to feel beautiful on our terms, right? Maybe for me, that's shaving my armpits. Maybe for you, that's not shaving your armpits. Maybe for me, that's like only wearing natural oils on my hair. Maybe for you, that's like, I don't know, getting a keratin treatment at the salon, right? Like that's such a big part of this. It's, like in South America, in Brazil especially, they get like the hair straightening, like the permanent hair straightening treatments. It's the keratin
Yeah.
hair treatments.
Yeah.
That's definitely not something I would ever do, nor have I ever done, despite what people have tried to
Yeah.
convince me to do. And that's another
Wow.
thing. So much of this is like the coming into conscious awareness of where we are telling other women what to do with their bodies, or
Mm.
telling other women what's good or right or wrong or bad for their bodies. Like that has to end. Like I see on social media a lot about Ariana Grande. I won't
Oh,
comment on Ariana Grande's body. The only thing I'll mention is that her body has changed a lot over the course of her career and that
yeah.
she has gotten so much hate for that. And I think that her story is just a classic example of how women's bodies are always being commented on, especially when they are public figures, and how we have a culture of permitting people to constantly comment on females' bodies without having the empathy to understand what they're going through, or to see that a woman's appearance isn't everything, right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's what I have to say
Oh, I
about that.
love her. I love her. I just wish her the best. That's all I'll
Yeah,
say. I love her.
yeah. And like empower her, be like, she's figuring her own life out, just like each and every one of
Yeah.
us. No one's got it
And
perfect.
she
And
has an amazing voice.
yeah, she has an
I
amazing voice, a thriving career. Like, I'm sure she's going through shit, but it has
yeah.
nothing to do with me. And like, let her figure it out. I'm sure she's got a
Yeah.
team who's taking care of her. Like it's not like back in the 70s or the 80s where we saw, artists who had anorexia or had eating disorders die, right? Like we live in a different time, and I think we just make assumptions about people just looking at
Yeah.
their bodies, and it makes me so
I
angry.
Oh my God, yeah, we could make a whole episode on how people make assumptions. I have had so many people make assumptions of me and I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. It brings up so much resistance. I think people just commenting on you without genuine curiosity and asking you, just ask people. Like if you're really curious and you want to know, instead of assuming and just like thinking you know what's going on with them and just throwing them your modality as if that's what they need and they were missing all the time.
Yeah.
Ask questions. Trust
Gemini rising
people.
is speaking here. The Gemini
Yeah,
rising.
just ask fucking questions. It's so much better. Be genuinely curious about the person in front of you. Done. Like you're gonna even learn something most likely. I am a Gemini rising. Okay,
Yes, we
done.
love curiosity. This is the Gemini sun and the Gemini rising. We love questions, always
And this
curious.
And this Gemini sun is in the fifth house of Leo, so you know.
Everyone's like, what?
I know we haven't done like an astrology episode at
I know we
all.
need to. We need
I
to.
don't even know if our listeners are into astrology, but if you guys
Of course
aren't,
they
then like
are.
me trying to be sassy and not being able to. No shame.
I was like thinking we only wear pink on Wednesdays or something, but I was like,
Yeah.
that makes
You
no
can't sit
sense.
with us.
Yeah. That's the line.
Like
That's the line I
you're like
wanted.
astrology, you can't sit with us and sip on your tea and listen to our podcast.
Oh my God. All
But
right,
you
so
can and you should. Thank you. Thank you for being here. We love you.
we love you. Moving on to the last two questions.
Let's do
So
it.
Naomi, what are your beliefs around spiritual hair hygiene, which we were talking about a bit at the beginning, and what rituals or practices do you like to nourish your hair?
Yay. I feel like an Ashun little princess here. So, okay, my beliefs around spiritual hair hygiene. First of all, don't let people touch your hair unless you want them to. This is like number one for me because I learned the hard way, whether you notice it or not, especially if you're someone that's very open to energy and other people's energy, when people touch your hair, they're transferring something. It doesn't have to be negative, it doesn't have to be bad, but something's definitely happening. And if you don't feel it, like consciously, it's gonna maybe affect you subconsciously. And if you do feel it, then you're gonna have to deal with it. And sometimes you're not gonna know what's happening. And it's not like a big scary thing. Like I'm not trying to bring some kind of woo-woo, like scary energy kind of thing. It's just more like, you know, you can feel when someone's touching your hair if it's like bringing in envy or if it's like coming out of a place of like I heard once and I felt it also where sometimes people touch your hair like as a way to tame your like they wanna it's like a way to take your power like our hair represents a lot and so you know, I think it just it's your personal space. It's an extension of you. It's an extension of your energy. Like there's nothing wrong with not wanting people to touch your hair or certain people to touch your hair. And it's not like a you must not let anyone touch your hair. It's more like be discerning. Like notice how you feel. Bring more awareness to it because yeah, it's something is happening and maybe it's good and maybe it doesn't feel good, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that's number one. Another thing is like I know it's said that we shouldn't wash our hair very often. I have my own beliefs around this. I think it's bio individual, and I think everyone needs to do whatever is best for them. So like I love washing my hair as often as possible. But I haven't tried to not wash it every day. I think at some point it's because I did believe that I'm not supposed to, and then I realized like actually I would, but it's a hassle. It is long, it is a lot. And so if I didn't necessarily sweat a lot, you know, and yeah, I think the most I can do without washing my hair is like 3 to 4 days. That's like a lot for me. And usually I like wash it every 3 days, but that's me. And then there's gonna be someone who does once a week and someone who does every day. And I think like what I wanted to actually say about this is that I think a good wash and it can, being in a river counts, being in the ocean counts, like just water cleanses the energy that we absorb through our hair. So what I'm trying to say is let water do its work whether you want to have that water be in the shower with shampoo or be in a river and in an ocean or wherever, trust the water, go and cleanse yourself. Um, I think that's very hygienic and very important, not in like a hygienic wash yourself way, more in a hygienic of like water is gonna cleanse the energies that you've been either trapping in your hair or absorbing in your hair or collecting in your hair or however you want to call it. And then yeah, I know like you can brush and you can oil. I think as a curly girl hair, I don't necessarily brush my hair. If I were to start brushing my hair when it's dry, I'm just gonna kind of destroy it. I tried it and then I realized like, oh no, I'm doing damage to my hair. I don't have the type of hair to brush my hair. So if someone does and that's good for you, brush it. It's nice. I think it's a nice practice. Oils, I learned for me that if I put oil and then go into the sun, I'm burning my hair. I don't know if that's for everyone or not. I do like the oil, but also with my condition right now, I don't think putting oil in my scalp is good either. So I haven't oiled recently, but I have in the past, and it has been lovely when I have. And so I do believe that's really nourishing. And any moment you're connecting with your hair, in my opinion, and being soft and like giving it attention and love is super beautiful and hygienic. Anything that's cleansing. Um, yeah, there's much more to say probably when you cut it, not, but I want also you to speak on this because I feel it's a question that you have a lot to say. And my rituals, practices, just to finish it off, like how I nourish it nowadays. Basically, I make my own flaxseed gel. So I just take flax seeds, put it in water, boil it, strain the flax seeds away, and keep the gel. And so after I do my shampoo and rinse it off, and after I put my big heavy cream to detangle these beauties and rinse it off, I then put a lot of flaxseed gel on my hair and, pass my beautiful brush and have all my strands covered with flaxseed gel and I scrunch it all up like a good curly girl wants to and I let it dry and voila, that's like the way I nourish my hair because I realize like all these store-bought creams and all of this is just a lot of chemicals and junk that make me more itchy. And also because, wow, it's so nice to prepare my own hair cream. And I think, again, anyone listening to this, check your hair type, check if flaxseed would be good for you. I mean, you could do aloe vera, you could do, like, I don't know, other things that I don't know about because every hair wants something different. So just, find what's right for you, bio individuality. Um, and that's probably it, like. I think every now and then I intuitively braid my hair. I think that's also like a ritual that I have because I'm braiding in, intentions, love, and then I also unbraid it like I'm opening something. And I think when I do my braids, it's a moment of like concentrating my wisdom inside. Like I'm integrating, I'm weaving something, like there's something happening there. Um, so yeah, so I do this as a ritual that comes intuitively, but I also sometimes purposely do that. I love braiding hair. And that's it. What about you?
Yeah, I just want to say, like, what's really interesting is when you start researching like hair practices around the world, like all over the world, there are cultures that see the hair as a spiritual being, as a way of accessing our spirituality, right? Because our hair literally, quite literally, grows out of our crowns, right? It's connected to our sense of intuition and our higher connection to our ancestors and to our spiritual nature. And so, like, we tend to see hair practices as really aesthetic, braiding hair and looking cute, or brushing your hair to look pretty, or hair oiling to have healthy long hair. But there are many lineages around the world that go on the next step, which is like these practices are for hygiene, but not just on a physical level, but on an energetic and spiritual level too. Like living here in South America, I'm sure you know or experience this, being Argentinian and living in Costa Rica at some points, like how there's a lot of this culture of doing spiritual baths, of like spiritual bathing, and especially pouring the bath over the head, and how that helps to, close the crown or clear the crown or to clear the hair of envy and evil eye, like we've been talking about. And it's really
Yeah.
interesting because living in the US or in the West for so long, I mean, you hear evil eye spoken amongst witches, but amongst most people, we're not talking about that sort of thing, and people aren't doing that sort of thing. But the South American lineage is very spiritual bath heavy and very
Oh
much
yeah.
about cleansing through the waters and
Different herbs.
using herbs and using plants. And it's interesting being here and having all these things happening with my hair that I'm doing more of those things just
Yeah.
naturally, and I'm being guided to do more of those things. But I guess like for me, it's so important for us, like Naomi said, our bi-individuality. I think it's a fun game or a fun exercise for us to research our ancestral lineages. Like what did our great 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 grandmamas do with our hair? Because I can
Mm,
guarantee you everyone who's listening has some great 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 grandmama somewhere in her lineage who did something to tend to the hair, to
yep.
take care of the hair. And so like I'm thinking about my Indian lineage, we did hair oiling, and my dad said that when he was growing up in Trinidad and Tobago, like my grandmother would rub coconut oil in their hair, and they would go to
Oh,
school with all this oily hair, and they would get bullied by a lot of the classmates who would call the Indian kids coolies, I think they were called, because they put all of this like oil in their hair. But that was an ancient practice of Abhyanga, right? Like that comes
yeah,
from the Indian lineage of hair oiling. And hair oiling is something that I like to do very much. Coconut oil dries me out. And so I like
yeah,
oils that are more from my mother's more Portuguese side, like olive oil, um,
yeah,
yeah, like almond oil, that sort of thing. Like the more Mediterranean oils, my skin absorbs better.
yeah.
But that practice from
Girl,
my
you're Mediterranean,
yeah,
right? And
I do.
Portuguese.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I love all the things that you love because I also have that
Yeah,
in my blood. So yeah, and plants, I think our plants are always our allies, and most of us tend to have like drier hair just because
yeah,
we are showering in city water that has all of these, chlorines in
toxins.
it and all of these heavy metals and things and all of that. And so I think most of us in general want like more nourished, soft hair. And I
Mm,
think turning to our demulcent plants, this is the herbalist in me coming out. So like flax gel is it's a demulcent, right? Demulcent meaning plants that when you prepare them, like in water, they become jelly, they become soft. So aloe vera is another demulcent, marshmallow roots is another demulcent, and I recently discovered a plant here called Turk's cap, which
oh,
is which is in the marshmallow family. Uh, that's all I'll say. You can research Turk's cap, but it's very common in like the southern US, Central and South America. It looks like a hibiscus. Oh, we saw it actually in Costa Rica. You know that
oh,
hibiscus flower that looks like a hibiscus, but it's not. It's always closed. It's pink like
yeah,
that. Do you remember that?
yeah,
That's Turk's
yeah.
cap. When you take the leaf of
Wow.
that and you put it in water and you like cut it up and you rub it, it makes this gel. It makes this incredible gel, and you shower your hair with that. And it's a plant that's very invasive. It's common all over the world. So more people should know about Turk's cap because it's everywhere.
Turks.
Um, and
Wow.
you wash your hair with that, and every time I do it, my hair is very, very, very soft, and I feel like it's nourishing the roots. So plants, oils, braiding, brushing, all of that.
Love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yay. I love that. I remember you also told me for my condition right now to like wash my hair with calendula water,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Calendula, rosemary, and yarrow was, I think, the formula
Yeah.
I gave you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, rosemary, I'll also mention just because she is very specific for the head and for the hair.
Mm,
Rosemary is a circulatory stimulant, meaning that she moves our blood, but she has an affinity for moving blood to the extremities. So, like moving blood from the center of the body, from the gut, out into the hands, out into the arms, to the legs, and to the head. The head is an extremity. And so
mm,
if like your hair is kind of like lacking that blood, that fresh blood, rosemary is really good. So hair washes and hair products
yeah.
almost always have rosemary in it. And then calendula and yarrow because of like the wounds, right? From the itching and the heat and
Yeah.
the yeah. So that's
Amazing.
another formula for anyone if you're looking for that.
So I'll ask you the next question that with that, close this episode. And this is, do you have any advice for women who are scared about symptoms in their hair and what can support them? So I know there's many symptoms,
Yeah.
and you obviously cannot go through all of them, but I guess intuitively, whatever you want to share that can support women, that are scared maybe about symptoms that they see.
Yeah, I think this is very common. I hear this with a lot of women and a lot of sisters, mostly with hair loss. I feel like hair loss is the symptom that generally triggers panic for women. So I'll speak more to that. But if you're going through anything, like the itchy hair thing that Naomi's talking about, or maybe even chronic lice or chronic anything related to your hair, like my first invitation, like I shared earlier, is just to just center and breathe for a second and to uh, use your regulation tools to bring down that anxiety, that panic, that, oh my God, something's wrong, something bad is happening, my health is all out of whack, and to take away kind of unnecessary external influences that maybe may irritate that anxiety, right? So like maybe take a week off of social media or unfollow some people or, whatever you need to do and come back to your center. Trusting your body is really hard. And so, like, that's not my invitation, to just trust your body or to like tune in. When we're in the middle of something, it can be really hard to be like, okay, here, now tell me exactly what to do. My, I guess, second invitation would be to connect with with what's going on in your life. Like, is there anything in your life that may be happening there's that tension, right? Like we were talking about with Naomi, like that I want it, but I don't want it. I feel connected, but I also don't feel connected. I want to feel connected, but I don't feel connected. I want to separate. I don't want to separate, and kind of start picking away at those pieces and working with someone who kind of works with this, like myself, may be helpful to kind of peel away the layers and things.
A consultation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a consultation, or learning more if the German new medicine paradigm that I've been sharing about has resonated with you. I offer my services, and there's plenty of people who work with this not even modality, but with this system of healing. And my last kind of thing that I would share is like to remember the healing that is happening in your body, right? I shared this earlier. Your hair is a living and conscious being, and it doesn't anything by accident, right? Everything that happens, not just your hair, but within your body, any symptom you experience, as hard as
Mm.
it is to go through the experience and as hard as it is to see the intelligence of it as it's happening, because it sucks, right? Symptoms suck. Like it sucks to have your hair, like hair falling out. It sucks. Right. As much as it sucks, I'm here to, at the same time, remind you that there is something adaptive and intelligent happening, and that your body isn't punishing you or trying to make you suffer forever, right? There's something that needs to shift, whether it's internally or even externally sometimes, or both. And
Yeah.
once that shift happens, right? And sometimes it's out of our conscious control, right? So the people out there who are very similar to me, my air witches, who are like, oh no, I got to do this and then do that and then this and then this and this, but it's not working. Oh my God, right? The invitation is actually to just take a step back, right? Because sometimes the shift happens unconsciously and then the conscious thing happens, right?
Yeah.
So some shift may need to happen, but I'm here to remind you that this is a beautiful process and that our bodies are mirrors of nature. And nature, if you cut down a forest, but you let it be, it will grow again, right?
Yeah.
Like nature has this incredible capacity to regenerate, and so do we. And I'm not saying just sit there and do nothing, right? Sometimes we do need to take steps, right? And sometimes some of the steps that are helpful to us are the ones that nourish us, right? Like these self-care
Yeah.
rituals that we were talking about. If you're going through active hair loss or an active symptom, having these self-care rituals is so nourishing, not just to the hair, but to us, to our
Yeah.
the anxious little part of us. And so yeah, so that's my invitation. I
Yeah.
hope that made sense.
It made a lot of sense. And I even thought of two things like, yeah, we've said this before, but literally like the body's usually speaking to us and just wants our attention. Like symptoms are a way to demand attention basically from us. And the second thing, you mentioned the consultation, with you or with someone who does the kind of work you do. And I just want to encourage all of us to seek out that support because a consultation beyond, receiving maybe information, protocols, whatever you might get from that, like you also get the support. It's so amazing to make space and have a moment to give that full attention to whatever's happening. And sometimes that on its own is already very healing. Like I think oftentimes when we finally give the attention, name the thing, have someone listen to us, like that activates so much healing, and I think it's just very worth it. I know
Yeah.
sometimes we're having resistance to consultations, but like in this day and age, it's like the human connection being listened to. Like these are things I value, and I know they move the needle more often than not. Obviously, find yourself someone who's very professional, like Naomi, who knows what they're talking about, who's passionate, right? Who loves what they do, who have experience. I think many of us also sometimes are worried, like, oh, this person has still their own problems. They're not fully healed, fully resolved. And then we like rule them out. But we never, like, we can never know, you know, what's going on with someone. And like, I think because they have experiences of their own, most likely than not, they're gonna be the ones that can most help you than someone who just like studied it by the book, never experienced anything themselves, and now they're trying to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
So
And I
don't
also think like
undervalue the experience.
And I also think when we're going through symptoms that are manifesting somatically, right, it's our unconscious speaking. And it can be really hard in our own day to day because we are in the symptom to be able to
Exactly.
separate what's happening and to be able to see the unconscious because the
Yeah.
unconscious can communicate in really confusing, symbolic
Right.
ways.
Yeah.
And we're in it, right? And so being our self-healer, I think is such a beautiful tool to be able to heal ourselves. But sometimes we do need that objective third party to who's
Yeah, the
witnessing us.
outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The
I've seen this
witnessing.
firsthand a lot within my teaching
Yeah.
spaces with my teachers who have been helping me and helping my
Yeah.
classmates. Like it is so valuable and necessary to heal in community. So
Even when we do like family constellations work, when I there's this constellation that I do called the Parts Party. It's work by Virginia I can't pronounce her last name. Virginia Satir. I don't know. Uh, sorry, I don't always pronounce things properly. But she like kind of made this protocol called the Parts Party, and even then every time we basically put different parts of ourselves to be represented so that we can look and see, observe, right? These different parts in us that live within us, and all of us have so many parts. And we always have to put the one witnessing, the observer, in the constellation. We cannot just put all these parts. There has to be a part that observes, that witnesses. And so I think that's just essential in life. And like Naomi said, sometimes, when we're living in something, it's very difficult to have the wide lens, the bird view's eye over all of it. And so just, yeah, having the other reflect and be there and hold space for you is just incredibly valuable. We need a witness.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel
Yeah.
complete.
Okay. Me
Feel
too.
good?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank
Well,
you
thank
for
you so
witnessing
much.
us.
Thank you for joining us on this episode and
Yeah,
listening to our hair stories. We hope that it resonated with you and you took something away with it that can support you with
yeah.
your hair.
May it ripple healing for all of us in our hair stories and maybe we release some of our fears or find our way to calm the nervous system. And yeah, thanks for listening.
See you next time.
See you. Mwah.
Oh my God, now